The late afternoon sun bathed Oak Ridge Lane in a warm glow, but the air was thick with tension. I stood at my car's open trunk, grocery bags in hand, when a voice sliced through the calm like a knife. "Put those bags down, lady." It was sharp, smug, dripping with entitlement. I turned to see a young man, barely 18, standing on my driveway like he owned it. Caleb, the HOA president's son, sported a backward cap, a loud hoodie, and sagging jeans, his phone filming me with a smirk. 3 friends, equally cocky, flanked him. "You heard me," he said, louder for the camera. "Mom's throwing the HOA spring party. We need your snacks. Hand him over." My grip tightened on the bag steaks for my dinner, sodas for tomorrow's precinct cookout, cake mix for my niece's birthday. This kid thought he could just take it all. He stepped closer, sneering. "Unless you want a violation for ignoring a community request." The audacity. He had no idea who I was. I kept my voice calm, my stance firm. "Kid, get off my property before you regret it." He laughed, taunting, threatening me, "Grandma." His phone zoomed in, craving a reaction for his online clout. One friend grabbed a case of water from my trunk. That's when my badge, tucked in my back pocket, caught the sun, glinting briefly. Caleb didn't notice. I leaned in, voice low. "You've got 10 seconds to put that back and leave." His eyes narrowed. 10 seconds ticked by. He lunged for another bag, and my hand moved to my waist. What happened next would shake this neighborhood to its core. Let me rewind to how this started. I'm Laura Mitchell, 54, a 27-year law enforcement veteran and Cloverfield County's police chief for 6 years. Divorced, no kids, I moved to this craftsman home on Oak Ridge Lane for peace, maybe to garden or adopt a dog. But peace is scarce when someone like Diane lives across the street. You know, her type, hair in a bun so tight it could crack stone, pastel cardigans, clipboard always in hand. HOA president for 3 years, unchallenged after she fined the last opponent for an unapproved birdhouse. Diane sees everything through her lace curtains or her walking club spies. Her son, Caleb, 18 and acting like royalty, thinks her HOA power makes him untouchable. I kept to myself until Caleb and his crew started terrorizing the neighborhood, stealing tools, biking through flower beds, throwing parties in vacant homes. No one reported him. Why? Diane would dismiss it. Boys will be boys. We're a community. I didn't move here to babysit brats. 2 weeks ago, I caught Caleb spray painting a mailbox. I called him out. He flipped me off and sped away. The next day, Diane handed me a notice for unauthorized fertilizer in my garden. That was our first clash. It escalated, blaring music, stolen mail, a dog digging up my tulips while Diane denied it was hers. I stayed calm. Patience is strength. But that Saturday, after a brutal shift resolving a missing child case, I just wanted a hot meal. I stopped at the store, pulled into my driveway, and there was Caleb, strutting over like he was collecting tribute. "You live alone," he sneered. "You don't need all that food." I warned him to back off. He didn't. His friend snatched the sodas, and a root beer bottle slipped, shattering on the pavement. "Gonna cry, lady?" Caleb mocked. That was it. I pulled my badge, flipped it open. His smirk vanished. "Caleb Turner, you're tampering with private property. That's a crime." He blinked. "You're a cop." I stepped forward. "No, kid. I'm your police chief." Before he could respond, Diane stormed across the street, clipboard waving, shouting, "Laura, what are you doing to my son?" Then Caleb dropped a bomb. "She assaulted me." She pulled a gun. Diane's eyes lit up as she dialed 911, crying, "Help. A dangerous woman's threatening my son with a badge and a weapon." I stood stunned. She was framing me in my own driveway. Sirens wailed within minutes. 2 squad cars rolled up, lights flashing, tires crunching gravel. Neighbors peeked out, some on porches, phones recording. Caleb clutched his side, staggering like he'd been hit. Whining, "She attacked me." Diane, with crocodile tears, chimed in, "She's been unstable since moving here." Officer Hayes, a rookie, didn't know me, but Sergeant Cruz did. "Chief Mitchell," he said, confused. I nodded calmly. "These kids try to steal my groceries. When I stopped them, Caleb lied about an assault, and Diane called in a false report." Diane's face flushed. "Chief, she's impersonating an officer." Cruz checked my badge, handed it back. "She's clear." Hayes questioned Caleb. "Which hand did she hit you with?" "Left," Caleb said fast. And the gun? Also left. Hayes raised an eyebrow. She hit you and pulled a weapon with one hand while holding bags. Diane doubled down. Yes, a big black gun. Terrifying. Their story was unraveling. Then a voice broke through. She's lying. I saw everything. It was Zoe, a shy 16-year-old from 2 houses down, holding her phone. I recorded it all. She didn't touch him. Zoe's mom stepped up. Don't question my daughter's honesty. Cruz watched the footage, Caleb grabbing my bags, smashing the bottle, calling me grandma, my badge flashing as I stayed composed. He nodded to Hayes. Hayes faced Diane and Caleb. Ma'am, we'll need a statement downtown. Your son could face charges for attempted theft and false reporting. Diane's clipboard trembled. Caleb's bravado faded. Then Mark, Diane's HOA vice president, pushed through, waving a folder. Let's not escalate, Laura. We're neighbors. Drop this. His urgency felt off. I tilted my head. Why are you so desperate to bury this, Mark? Diane shot him a sharp glance, and I knew this wasn't just about groceries. Something bigger was brewing. That night, I sipped tea on my porch, replaying that look between Diane and Mark. It was fleeting but loaded with fear. They weren't just worried about Caleb's stunt. They were hiding something. The next morning, I visited 3 neighbors Diane had targeted. Mrs. Lopez was fined $200 for unapproved porch lights, despite having permission. Mike, a single dad, got a $150 notice for driveway stains after Caleb spilled soda near his garage. Ruth, a retiree, paid $500 for a lawn violation after refusing to vote for Diane. All fines went to a special HOA fund absent from official records. Checks cleared, but the money vanished. At City Hall, I pulled 5 years of HOA records. Fines, permits, budgets all led to a PO. Box owned by Mark. This was fraud, thousands stolen from vulnerable residents. That evening, an envelope appeared on my door with my name and a typed note. Drop this or else. I turned on my security system, unfazed. Fear wouldn't stop me. Friday, Diane called an emergency HOA meeting demanding attendance. I showed up in uniform, badge shining. The clubhouse was packed. Diane stood at the front, flanked by Mark and Caleb, who wore a fake bandage. We face a crisis, she declared, glaring at me. This woman is tearing us apart, digging into private files, intimidating our children. I stood, holding a folder. Receipts. The room hushed. I laid out bank transfers, complaints, fraudulent fines, all signed by Diane or Mark. You've been lied to, bullied, robbed, I said. Diane stammered. Mark called it slander. Then a brick shattered the clubhouse door. Caleb's voice rang out. That'll teach you, witch. He ran, but a deputy I'd stationed nearby tackled him. Diane screamed. Mark paled. The meeting erupted. Caleb sat cuffed in a cruiser, sulking. Neighbors buzzed, some shocked, others relieved. Mrs. Lopez thanked me, tears streaming. We needed you. Mike nodded. Time for a fresh start. The next day, the city attorney called about HOA finances. Walking my dog, Rusty, I noticed a black SUV with no plates watching my house. I snapped a photo and sent it to a colleague. That evening, Diane knocked on my door, her face torn between regret and defiance. I didn't want this, she said, admitting to mismanaging funds under Mark's pressure. Tell the truth, I urged. Her phone buzzed Mark, threatening to expose her unless she silenced me. Choose, Diane. Truth or lies. The next morning, Mark called, demanding a park meeting. I went, knowing it was a trap. He was sweating by the swings. There's more to the HOA than you know, he whispered, handing me a USB drive with spreadsheets and emails exposing years of stolen donations and budgets. Diane's ruthless. I was scared. I pocketed the drive. Stay low. I'll handle it. Days later, an explosion rocked the clubhouse. Flames consumed it as neighbors screamed. Arson. Investigators confirm meet a desperate bid to destroy evidence. I called a meeting in a church, standing before a packed crowd. They want us scared. We won't be. Volunteers cleaned up. Donations poured in. Caleb's testimony led to Mark's arrest and Diane's guilty plea. The clubhouse was rebuilt, gardens bloomed, and a new HOA board rose, rooted in fairness. But threats persisted. Tires, hacked emails, that SUV still lurking. One night, my phone rang, a distorted voice hissing, "Stop digging." I smiled. I'm not scared. Oak Ridge Lane wasn't just a street anymore. It was a fight for truth, and I'd battle until every secret was laid bare.